Hey there, Palm Mute Maniac here, and today's video is going to be a little different. So usually I have King God Castle open in the middle of the screen here. We talk about it, a hero and that kind of stuff. But today I wanted to address or talk a little bit about the latest Discord message from Mr. Croco, who seems to be either a spokesperson, a PR person, or owner, or I'm not sure exactly what his role is at Awesome Piece, but he's the one who does most of the update announcements and that kind of stuff. And he wrote something here that's really interesting. I want to share it with you. Hello, this is King God Castle's PD. So I would imagine that's the press department or the person who's going to be doing press releases and public relations, Mr. Coco. We are going to have our first offline user meeting in Korea to discuss the recent game updates and our 4th anniversary. We are aware that there are also a ton of global users who want to participate in such an event. However, we are still a small company, and unfortunately, it is difficult for us to hold events with global users yet. We will look forward to the day when we can meet face-to-face. Instead, we are prepared to answer the question you might have. Please send us your questions through the link below. So there is a link here that goes to a form, and you can ask your questions. And I think that they intend to discuss the recent game updates as well as the 4th anniversary of the game. I want to kind of ask my questions in video format. I will be filling out this form. I intend that if you're a fan of the game and you care about the future of the game, fill out the form, ask some questions. I would say and ask questions with the intent of getting your voice heard and meeting a need that you would want to see in the game. That would make it more fun for you. And so my question is going to be around team composition. What do they intend to do to make a lot of the unviable characters viable? So they're building content such as Chapter 13 or Chapter 2-3. Right, I call it 13 because that's the easiest way for me to remember it. And these corruptions and the difficulty curve on these appears to be so high that you have to turn to exploits. And what I mean by exploits, I mean finding a single character whose skill can be exploited to absurd levels through stat stacking in order to beat the level, right? And so you can't, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I want to be able to build a team and I want to be able, that has synergy, right? And want that synergy to have a payoff, right? So, the payoff, should be around using weaker heroes that, when you combine them, can do extraordinary things. That's the whole point of this team. The state of the game currently, and I have yet to install the latest patch. It hasn't come out yet, so it might already be addressed. But the current state of the game is that full team compositions are the most inconsistent and seemingly weakest way to go about it. And so you have a game with 57 heroes in which your best bet is to have a hero lock team, a hero lock team of 2, or a hero lock team of 3 for your best consistency. And what I mean by that is when you're playing the game and let's say you need 3 characters to have your build. So let's say it's Bardry, Priya and Behemoth. Let's say your whole entire build is around Behemoth stunning and jumping around, and Priya launching and bargery. Well, you have these other 3 guys who you're going to keep rolling into them, and it's going to slow you down, right? So that's going to give you variance. So what all this variance, the nature of the game and the nature of variance puts you in a position where full team compositions end up kind of being the weakest thing. And if you do any digging on YouTube, and of course I'm doing that, for the highest damage output possible, right? Insane numbers. The thing that it has in common is it's one hero being selected, focused on as your carry, and you just essentially min-max that hero to an absurd level, and that's how you get through the game. However, it's a bit, I don't know if the right word is disingenuous, but the game to a new player, you're going to see all these characters and all these heroes, and you're going to like who you like for aesthetic reasons, right? Like, this guy looks cool. For ability reasons, certain mechanics that are interesting to you. However, the moment you get to this level, you are put on a linear path. And that linear path is, there's only 1 or 2 heroes that can actually get through these challenges. So all of the rolling, all of the scrolls, all of the resources, and whether you're a free-to-play player and you're putting in hours to get your resources, or whether you're a pay-to-win player or a hybrid of the two, and you're putting resources in all these different heroes, this content can only be beat by one of 4 heroes, right? And so we are in a place where the game is a team composition game on the surface. However, under the hood, when you look at the mechanics, this game is actually around currently, and this changes season to season, this game is currently built around 4 heroes for the newest content. So my question is, awesome piece, what do you intend to do to make it so that full team compositions can be more viable to the PvE content? PvP, listen, PvP metas exist. You can't beat PvP metas. But what is your plan for new players, players who might get frustrated after spending lots and lots of hours building their teams and their resources, to have equal playing field in PvE against this new content? So that full team composition, which arguably is the most fun way to play this game, can be viable. And I'm hoping that there is a solution to that. And there's a list of things, right? So right now, the community at large, they're a little upsetty spaghetti about legacies, because this is straight gotcha. This is straight pay to win. It's very difficult to get these legacies. There are characters that are fragmented, right? Fragmented by the legacy. So if you look at Belina, right? Belina has, she has her tier 1, level 1 unawakened version of Belina, right? So level 1 unawakened, you're not getting any of this stuff. It's just going to be, she does third eye, and she doesn't have mental explosion. Okay, so that's your level 1. Then you're going to improve her. You're going to get your level 4, you're going to get your level 8, and all this stuff is free to play. No problem. Great character, does a lot of really good things, right? However, this character is incomplete because they took they took her, and instead of just giving her all of her stats and abilities, they cut her in half, and they put the rest of her kit in here. So this gives her the rest of her kit. Her third eye gives crit chance. Her third eye removes crowd control. Her third eye, when fully maxed out, grants crowd control immunity whenever the user is provided a beneficial effect. Well, this character is putting out protection every other second. It's putting out crit every other second. Belina becomes a anti-CC buffing support machine, right? But that is in the legacy. So if you want to play Belina with her full kit, you essentially have to invest in her to the point of absurdity. And what I mean by that is this is going to take forever to max out for you. Okay, if you want to do a tier Transcendence, you're looking at 6 of these Transcendence ingots, which currently is very difficult to do. So it's impossible. And listen, I understand that this is an evolving game, and getting those in the future might be easier. But my only option is to continue to gacha roll and get to that point, right? And listen, I understand this is a gacha game at its core. That's what it's for sure. But I think there's a balance to have to consider for the free-to-play players to maintain your player base so they don't get frustrated and just walk away, right? That's how a game stays viable. The player base has to be interested. So what I believe Awesome Piece is doing, which is good, is it's making new content constantly. Love it. Absolutely keeps me engaged. This is why I created a YouTube channel. This is why I play it every day. I don't play other games. This is my game, right? But the only thing that I feel they are doing incorrectly, this is my opinion, is that the team compositions have a hard time doing this content. And what happens is we are being linearly, I don't know. We are being put in a funnel that through trial and error, which you're going to find is that the only way to beat these is to do extremely specific meta builds that exploit pathing, field control, or mass damage. And all that has to come from between 1 and 3 heroes. Most people are simply using Kanak and one hero, one Link hero, probably Seiyang. Or they're using Priya and Sirium. Like, this is an example of an exploit build. You simply have a Priya, right, maxed out as high as you can get her, relics that are focused on her, none of these other heroes matter, and then you roll challenge phase 15, and this is really the only way to beat this thing, is to do stuff like this. This isn't team comp, this isn't fun, this isn't Dandelion on the front line, you know, debuffing and Ophelia doing stuff, or Tayson doing stuff. This is, I'm going to do exploitive gameplay, and essentially do crap like this to overpower the enemies, because the enemies have too much HP, or they're too difficult, right? And it does put you in a bucket where you pretty much have no choice but to do this style gameplay. And this is how you kill a game. Because now I'm in a position where my only viable build that I'm going to invest in is going to be my Kanak, my Ceres, or my Priya. And now I am vulnerable to patching. So if all of my time, effort, energy, and money has been put into a single hero and not a full team composition, I am at the mercy of Awesome Peace doing a patch. There are a significant number of players, I would imagine, who probably walked away from this game because they had all of their resources packed into Kanak and not Kanak, Ceres, and Ceres was very harshly debuffed, right? So how do you how do you deal with that? It's just difficult, right? It's a difficult situation, and so my whole point here is that if there was a way, and I can think of a handful of ways, to make full team compositions viable, when you do a patch on a single hero, you're not going to massively alter the meta nearly as much. And I think that might be the way to go, right? That will one, kind of create a reason for new players to even stick around in the game long enough, because they're going to feel like, okay, I'm using a full team comp, and that is going to give me some type of power level boost to offset the variance that's kind of happening, right? I'm going to collect my thoughts for a moment and kind of finish my point in just a second here. So hypothetically, if this new Dominion patch rolls out and gives a flat additional 100% to full team spell damage and attack damage, I think that might solve this problem. Maybe not for every hero, but that would essentially make your heroes more viable. And you could do a fun team comp and get it out there. I've been hesitant to put out videos because I'm essentially waiting for that to happen. Another couple of things could be as simple as I know we have a class system, but maybe do like a classic, easy to understand role system, and make it so that if you have a full team where you meet a certain number of roles on your team, you get a flat bonus. Something that will help with people who want to do team building and full, utilize all of the characters. You get a bit of a bonus there. I would also say that perhaps what you could do also as another idea is synergies, where if you have a tank hero and you play a mage hero, perhaps the tank existing and the mage existing, they increase their stats simply by being on the same team. So X number of mages might increase HP for tanks, and X number of tanks might increase spell power or attack speed for swiftness and mystic class heroes. Something like that, right? Something that encourages the use of heroes like Daniel, for example. And we're going to lose this. Heroes like Daniel, for example. It's like, okay, well, if Daniel sucks, everyone knows he sucks, but if that man is a warrior class or a courage class, then why don't we let his existence on the battlefield simply buff the less useful classes? And that might help with team comp, right? you could also simply just do relics that encourage team compositions. We already have such relics with Elixir of Respite. We have relics such as Banner of Militias. The more players you have, the less damage you do. But these don't really move the needle too much in terms of damage. And like, yes, you have survivability, but what you're going to do by using these two relics is you're gonna sacrifice team damage. And when you're going against content like this or like this, where the average HP of your enemies is 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, crazy high, and even higher. I would have to go through and actually look again. It doesn't work. Okay, great. My team of meaty, chunky people that I'm going to use to take advantage of Respite and potentially Flag or Banner. Great. They're not going to put enough damage out to get through it, because even though they're taking less damage, their damage output isn't high enough, right? So it pretty much eliminates certain builds altogether. However, if you guys really focus on making it fun for full teams simply by increasing power levels and rewarding the player for utilizing different classes of heroes on the same field, I think that would be massive. If you reward the player for using tanky heroes, along with other classes, that could be amazing. I would love to see a relic that basically says, if you use more than 3 classes in your team composition, you get 210 additional attack and spell power. Like, that would be massive, because then, okay, I can use a Mystic, I could use a Courage, and potentially a Swift. And I can now focus on attempting to do a full team build, and perhaps you do something like, if you could use one of each, you even get more, okay? So now I'm encouraged to do a Swift, an Element, a Shadow, a Mystic, and a Courage, right? This kind of seems fairly obvious to me, and that could be a solution for making full team builds viable as well. So I know this was a little rambly, and I tend to do that, but that's my view on this. And so I go back to my question. Awesome piece. I'm glad you're having an event. I'm glad you're making new content. What are you doing to help encourage full teams of characters to be able to take on this new content that you're building, and make the 80% of unviable characters viable, and in return make this a more fun game and new player friendly game that will ultimately lead to a higher player retention. And that's my question. That is my question to you guys, to you, Awesome Piece. And yeah, that's what I got. All right, guys. Well, I will talk to you later. If you guys have any thoughts on this, right? If you guys have any thoughts on this, I want to hear them. You could be like, hey, hey, Palm, you actually are incredibly terrible at this game, and there are plenty of full team compositions that can clear Chapter 13, Phase 15 Corrupt, and you just don't know what you're doing. Please hit me with it. I want to know. I want to know that is the case. I build teams. It's kind of what I do. It's what I have fun doing, and I have yet to run into a non-exploitive team that can do that. And that is where I am at, with this game and with this content. So I am literally building teams to beat Chapter 12 normal, because that is the only way that that's the only place where I feel like a full team is viable. All right, guys, that's it. End of my rambling, I promise. And also, if you're a fan of this game, I encourage you to think about what you want to see. And this is an opportunity to have your voice heard in a community setting. And I highly encourage you to write the developers through that forum. All right, guys, thanks for watching.